Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello.
It's Meredith and Mark, and we're here with our coffee.
Because it's another morning edition.
Do you think we say that every time?
Maybe. But I think we should really start doing one of an evening.
Well, we used to do happy hours.
Yeah, I know, and got away from that. That's
it's
bad
because
form. Bad
I
form.
would slur my words and say things I shouldn't.
Right, and do 3 retakes.
And we get really good views on those podcasts.
Maybe that's a reason to do it. Actually, we should do one that's at the pub.
Oh, that would be terrible audio. Can't do it.
I don't care about the audio. I think the rest of it
Of
would
course,
be fun.
I care about the audio.
We should drag people in from the bar. It's like, what do you want to say? It could go really bad. Anyway,
Well, welcome back, everybody. We've had a very good week, and we've been walking our asses off.
Yes, we have.
We were like, September 1st is here, and we're going to be even more diligent about getting our steps in, and like at least 10,000, which you'd think and look at us and go, oh wait, like aren't you already getting 10,000 steps because you're living in Porto without a car? But there are days where no. Like we take the dog out, that's about it.
Yeah, and then you're sort of in the house either doing work or not. Or prepping for podcasts or prepping for other things. It's not like you've not got anything else to do.
Yeah.
And
it's not like we're literally tearing up Porto every day. Like,
no,
I think it's interesting to think about what people think about. What do they think of us?
I don't know.
They think that we're literally like walking around the city every day, but we don't. We've kind of made it our own.
I can tell you now that I would not walk around the city every day because I would lose my shit. Just with the amount of, particularly at the height of the day, early afternoon.
And we're still in tourist season.
And yeah, we're still in tourist season. It's just...
You are the problem though.
Yeah, I said that to you the other day.
I mean, we sit here and joke. We are absolutely joking. I mean, we're not joking about the impact of tourists on our walking experience. But we are joking about all stupid tourists, right? Like, we are tourists ourselves.
We are.
But
we just have a slight different slant on it.
That's right.
But not a terrific difference.
So we did walk. So the other day we did walk across the bridge.
Story time.
We walked across the bridge to Gaia. So we're on the Porto side of River Douro. And so we decided to walk across the Dom Luís Bridge, which is the best,
Start of a walk.
Yes, it is the best. And then walk down to Gaia, where all the port cellars are, and then continue walking out toward the ocean that way, because we had only gone so far in the past. We've experienced the port cellars over there at Gaia and only really gotten so far down toward the ocean.
Got up to where the docking area is for the cruise boats.
And so we decided that was our path that day. And so we kept walking. We walked all the way down to the bridge that we actually climbed, the Arabida Bridge. The Porto Bridge climb is the second bridge over from the Dom Luís, or the first. What I'm trying to say is it's not the Dom Luís that you're climbing, it's the next one toward the ocean.
You know that thing you said about you would say strange things after you've had a drink? Are you sure you're not
I'm
got
drinking
something
Irish
in there?
coffee. Anyway, we kept walking and we went past that. And by this time I was looking at Mark and I was saying, we're not walking home, right? We're Ubering home. Because, I'm not trying to walk 20,000 steps today. I'm trying to walk 10. Anyway, we get there, past the bridge, and the whole point was Mark wanted to go see this little village that he'd seen across the river days earlier. He was like, the next time let's walk to that little village over there, and it's called Aforada de Cima, I think, but short is Aforada. And it was so adorable, like some of the cutest Portuguese homes, apartments, living spaces that we have seen.
It was truly Portuguese.
It was so cute.
As a small fishing village.
Yes, right on the water.
It was crazy.
So we walked up and down the streets and we were like, oh, this is perfect, right? Like we'll just stop and get a drink,
snack or something.
It was 4
Everything was shut.
And you know what we've told you, right? That especially in smaller villages,
things tend
from
to
3:30 to 7 or 7:30, they are not going to be open for you. Yeah. They do not care if you want to drink a beer, a glass of wine, anything to eat. It's just the culture.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were disappointed because we were like, we're in this cute little place and nothing.
All I wanted to do was sit and have a beer.
So what did we do? Got an Uber home.
Yeah.
What I told you.
But it was very
beautiful.
interesting. It was a really, really interesting place because it's the first time in a long time that I've been somewhere, and there's a sort of like the village wash shop, not shop, but like
a
washing.
public place where you can wash your
Yeah.
larger items is what I
like
got the
rugs
impression of.
and towels and things like that. But it's just
Or rugs. It looked like she had a rug.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
I've
it
never
was-
seen anything like
yeah,
it.
that was completely.
It was really cool. And it was just like it's like a public facility where you can go in there and there's these large vats you can fill with water and your soap,
Yeah,
and
they're like-
you're literally scrubbing whatever your item is. But the lady that was in there was like, it was like a carpet or something.
Yeah.
Something that you can't do at home. You can't throw in the washer or
Right.
something like that. But I had never seen that. It was like,
Yeah.
it really
These
felt weird.
granite
It felt like we were looking at something that was very culturally Portuguese.
Yes, for sure.
And something that I hadn't seen. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
really fun.
So that was interesting.
fun.
So top tip from us, not doing that again.
What?
Going somewhere and it not open.
Good luck. We forget all the time.
Yeah, hopefully.
We still haven't gotten used to that part. Now, in Porto, it's not as common because they're catering to a lot of tourists and, all of that stuff. But yeah, in the smaller villages like that, I'm not
Just be
surprised.
aware.
Whenever we've taken some day trips too, that's happened to us. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess we're going to wander around for a
Yeah.
little while.
That
Parched.
That and we only take cash. It's like, oh, damn it.
So it's actually a really good segue into what we wanted to chat about today, which is reflecting on the things that were really tough for us when we first moved abroad to Portugal from the United States 9 or 10 months ago now.
Yep.
Gosh, is it 10 months ago?
Wow.
Yes, it's 10 months ago now. And now we don't even think about it.
Yep.
That's what we want to talk about today, because this came up in a conversation earlier with us, and we were like, there's a lot that we've just adapted to.
Yeah. And I think that's normal. Number one,
It's
because
normal.
You're kind of forced to.
Is it normal though? I
Well, it's
think
normal
that
in the context that you're forced to.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have a choice, but I think in the moment when you're having these initial transition feelings of everything is so
Anxiety.
different and right, and you feel like you'll never get used to this. So I think it's a testament to adaptability
Yeah.
and how you can feel that in the moment, but you will eventually adapt. And so if you're having worries about any of that stuff, I encourage you to just kind of lean in and know
Take a deep breath.
that it will happen. It will. And there might still be some things that I'll never get used to, right? And I get that, and maybe those things will come up when we're talking, but for the most part, 90% of the things that were a big deal are not a big deal anymore. So what are those things? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you
Well, the
think about
biggest
that?
thing for me, not that it was a big deal, but the fact of not having a car. I think that the transition away from being car-centric, which, pretty much everywhere in America is, to here, I think it's been very eye-opening for me. I've thoroughly enjoyed not driving, to the point where the other day when we were coming back from somewhere, I think from Foch or somewhere, anyway, got into the Uber and I'm sort of saying to the Uber guy, can you not go that way? Can you go by the river? Because I didn't want him to go left, because that meant that he would have gone onto the motorway to come all the way back round to home. And when you get Portuguese drivers, and no shame here, but the driving can be freaking terrible, quite frankly. And so I wanted him to stay along the river because the speeds would be under 30. And that was the only reason. And I didn't care if it was going to cost me an extra €2.50, because, so that it's become very easy to step away from a car.
Easier than I ever thought. I look forward to it, to be honest, but I don't really only look forward to it in theory, because I've always had some sort of transportation like that, because of living in North Carolina. I mean, whether it was my car or a friend or whatever. Like we get places by car.
Yeah.
And even in a place like Charlotte, where we came from, public transportation is not very great there, and it's a shame. But you just don't have those options in a lot of cases, or it doesn't make sense, right? There's not enough lines, there's not enough bus lines or train lines or whatever where we were from to even have the choice. So you always had a car, and before we left, we had gone down to a one-car household, which we thought was a big damn deal then, right? This was before we were even thinking about moving abroad.
Yeah.
And it was post-COVID. We were both working from home, full-time,
Why do we need two
right?
cars?
And we've got 2 cars sitting in the garage that literally don't get used. And so we went down to 1 car, and it was easier than we thought then as well.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting. I had looked forward to it. I was hopeful that it would be... I think it's easy when you're dreaming about what moving abroad looks like. It's easy to think, okay, well, yeah, we get to walk everywhere. We get to go only shop for groceries, you know, for 2 days worth, because we have to buy fresh, right? And this is another thing that has changed.
Absolutely.
That we've gotten so used to. But I really enjoy not having a car.
Yeah. And again, you know, being in the centre of Porto, that in itself comes with an issue of where you're going to park, unless you get a house that's got or an apartment that's got parking associated with it.
Yeah.
Street parking or garage parking, that can be pretty hit and miss as to being able to. So I don't miss it,
I don't
and I've definitely gotten used to not having it.
Yeah.
What that's going to be like in Tavira, I hope the same, if not better,
Yeah.
because Tavira is much more of a walkable town.
Oh yeah,
It's not
smaller.
It's not a city.
No.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that will continue and help us get our steps up.
Well, and tying into that is the walking thing, right? So like, yeah, you can say, yeah, like not having a car, but like when we first moved over here, walking everywhere you needed to go was kind of daunting. And it's not necessarily that we were completely out of shape or anything. It's just a conditioning thing.
Yeah.
Like that first week or so, I was like, I'm gonna be tired all the freaking time, because you just have to walk everywhere. If I need a electric power strip, I'm gonna have to walk to go get it.
Yeah.
Right? Things like that, you know, at the beginning are so different.
No, technically, I had to go walking for it.
Anyway, so I think those 2 things go hand in hand, but now we don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and walking to a coffee shop and things like that, like that's just how we do.
Yeah.
I did mention another thing.
I will say though, one of the plus sides of not having a car and walking to everything means that it's okay if you want to have that second glass of wine. Or that second beer, because you're only responsible for walking home or getting the Uber home. So
That's true.
That's another plus.
That could be good impact.
Yeah.
The other thing that I mentioned in passing right then was something that we've gotten used to too, which is
Shopping.
Yeah, grocery shopping. And so again, this dream-like, I'm only going to speak for myself. When I was thinking of, when we were like envisioning what it would be like to move abroad, I'm going to move to Europe. Like you envision the classic European woman walking home from the market with her fresh groceries in her little sack, and that's lovely, right? But like, come on. What it really is trudging your ass to the grocery store every time you need something, and then having to strategically decide, can you carry all of this back to your home? So you are limited, right? I think you have to do a little bit more planning, and you have to do it in smaller increments.
Yeah.
Like we might plan for 3 meals, 2 meals, something like that.
I also think that that's a really good thing though, because if you're
it's
only planning for
fresh.
2 or 3, right, you're not buying so much frozen, you're buying fresh, because you know that in 2 or 3 days you're going to eat those strawberries or use those tomatoes or whatever.
Tomatoes.
And yes, tomatoes. And potatoes.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. You know, so you are being very conscious about what you're buying, and that's also another good habit.
And no waste.
Right.
I'm embarrassed
I mean,
to
that
think
was
about.
the thing I was trying to track to, and I've forgotten what it was. Old age, I
It's
think.
okay.
I think.
53. Woohoo.
Is What was it? No, it was the amount of waste. You know,
Yeah,
it's,
we don't
it's
waste
so,
much at all.
So little. I think the most amount of stuff that goes in the bin are containers, like the milk
the
or
packaging.
the packaging, essentially. You know, very, very little in the way of food that
You've
we've
just-
purchased.
You've just led me to number 3 or
Did-
4.
Did I?
Another
Wow.
natural segue. Ready?
I'm good, but I didn't
This
realise
is
I was
a good
that
example of something that I'm not used to yet. I'm taking us off path a little bit. But, y'all, our trash can is a, what, 13? How
Are
do
you
I do
talking-
this?
are you
How
talking
big
a
is the
bin
trash
here?
can?
Or-
Yes. Here. What
Oh.
is the, like,
Well, the bag that goes in it is a 30-litre bag.
30 liters. And that's an oversized bag for the size of the trash
bin.
can.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm hoping will change in Tavira. I can't believe you're tuning in to listen to me talk about our trash can, but you are. It is the truth, though. I love to be in the kitchen and I love to cook. The process
Thankfully.
of doing the things that I like to do in the kitchen with a tiny ass trash can is not cool with me. And it is just the way it is in most apartments here. So I'm very much hoping that we will have enough space in Tavira that we can at least get a little bit larger trash can so that we could easily take the trash out twice a day sometimes.
Well,
I mean, come on. It could happen.
it could. But
And
that's if you
it is so
sort of got
frustrating.
empty bottles of Coke or empty bottles of milk or
Yeah,
whatever.
things that take up
Take
space.
up space that you can't condense down too much.
Okay, so car, no car,
Yeah.
walking, grocery shopping for 2 to 3 days.
Yep.
Trash can situation has not been resolved. What else? I would say drying clothes outside.
See,
No dryer.
Right. I think that's one thing, not having a dryer, but the actual thing of drying clothes outside on an airing rack is something that is not new to me. No, as a kid,
Yeah, no, I
a
get
kid
it.
growing up in England and throughout different places in Europe, that's what you did.
Yes. I can still remember my mom taking laundry out to our backyard and clipping
Yeah, with
the
clothespins.
clothes to the clothes
Yeah.
pin. I mean, with clothespins.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard
That
of.
takes
And
me
I have,
right back. That takes me right back because when Mum would say to me, "Go and take the washing out, hang the washing up on the the rack."
Uh-huh.
To get ready, and for those that are not watching, I would have the pegs, and I would put the pegs
Down your shirt?
down my shirt.
That's cute. That's really cute.
That has just come back to me. I would clip
Oh,
them.
how old were you?
Oh gosh, maybe 8, 9, 10?
That's cute.
Yeah,
Oh, you had a moment.
I did.
You remember
Wow.
something.
I remember something from my years ago. I can't
That's
remember
rare.
what happened 5 minutes ago. But we'll get past that.
I have gotten used to, I joke about this because it was one of the harder things to get used to. I think now we've gotten much more used to washing our clothes in our washer. There is no dry cycle on our unit. It's not uncommon here to not have a dryer. And so we hang our clothing and sometimes our towels and stuff, which is still a challenge for me, out to dry, right? The clothing stuff I've gotten used to.
Yeah.
Like there's very few pieces of clothing that that don't work well with that.
Well, I mean,
Drying outside.
athleisure wear probably is no problem, is it?
Easy, shut up. He's trying to take a dig at my love of
Dig accomplished.
athletic wear. But we've gotten pretty used to that. The thing with the towels and like bedding and stuff, sorry, you cannot not dry those things. They need to be soft and like nice on your skin.
So what happens in order to achieve that?
He walks across the street to the laundromat and tosses our stuff in the dryer there.
Yep. And then what happens as a consequence of that?
I'm happy.
and I make new friends in the laundry.
Oh yes, he meets all the tourists over there. He comes home every time and he's like, I met these 2 people from Canada. I met these 2 people from Yemen. I met these 2 people from... Anyway.
They asked me how to use the machines.
Yes.
But
He's like the ambassador.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have got, so the moral of the story is this was a really big deal when we moved over here, and it's not anymore. It's not as much anymore for sure. So, but good thing is in Tavira, we do have a dryer. I just don't know how well it's going to work. So TBD on that.
Historically, they're not the best thing,
No,
and they do
they
take
just
much longer.
don't
But you know,
work too well here.
yeah, I might be trying to find the nearest laundromat to do the
Yeah.
to do the bigger items.
What else?
One of the things I think there was again, I think it was a bigger deal for you, and that was the shower situation.
I've gotten used to it now.
You have now,
But I still feel the trauma.
right?
I know that sounds dramatic, but I am.
Just a little.
When we moved to, well, actually it was both.
Yeah.
The showers here typically, even in a brand new refurbished, beautiful apartment, they tend to be small, right? And it's not so much about the space, it's really about how the space is used. And so for me, when we moved to this apartment, even when we came to look at the apartment, it was one of my number 1 concerns. And we do have 2 bathrooms. One is a much bigger shower than the other, so he uses the bigger one. The smaller one, again, it's not necessarily about the space, it's about the shower head situation. And I'm gonna say this is a problem that Europe has. Overall, we have been to multiple beautiful hotels, and they still have really crappy shower head situations. And what I mean by that is the contraptions where you have to like take the thing off. It's, you know, the wand thing that it's fine as a wand if you want to use it that way, but when you're actually trying to use it as a shower head, it doesn't work so hot. Meaning ours, and well, I'll say mine in my shower right now is like, you know, that big, and that's how the water comes out of a space this big. Sorry for the people who are not watching. It's like 3 inches worth
I wondered if you were going to go there.
3 inches worth of water spigot.
What a spigot.
I need another Irish coffee. Anyway.
No, you don't.
On top of this, you can't move the shower head at an angle to which it will hit me as a 5'4" person correctly. Yeah. So I am having to literally stand in the back corner of my shower just to wet my hair. Or the worst part, when I don't want to wash my hair or get wet, it's like it sounds ridiculous. And I know that people are probably annoyed with me right now, but it's because it sounds like get over yourself, but your daily shower is like your joy, okay? And comfort. And it became a very frustrating process at the beginning. Right. Now I'm just used to like basically using a 1 square foot space.
You go in and know what position you've got to be.
Exactly.
You're doing your hair or not doing it.
Yes, you know exactly where you have to move in the shower to get
doing the robot
things done. So yeah, the shower head. I think we've told that story before, along with the story about Hamburger Gate. But this was a story about the shower head where I literally was in tears, and Mark, very kindly, as he always is when I lose my shit about things that he doesn't understand why I'm losing it, it's like, let me fix it. And then he went in there to try to fix it and couldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that, I think on the subject of shower heads and showers and things like that, I think it's seen completely differently over here compared to upbringing in
what
in
is
States.
it? What is that?
I think it's just more that it's just function.
But it doesn't function.
For you, because you've got your biases towards what you know. If you didn't know any different, this would be the norm, and I think that's the point. Is that you're things that you've had to get used to, because we found what we've got more here than what we know of back in the States.
Oh yeah, but this is the norm. That
You know,
this is the hardware
to
that they
that
use in
point,
the
if I
shower.
go, or I'm going back home to the UK next week for a short period to see my mum, and I know that when I get home, I know what the bathroom looks like. The bathroom's very nice, but the shower is...
It is so little.
It's kind of small. So I'm not looking forward to that. But, you know, it's just what it is.
At least you admit.
Yeah.
There
and
could be
and
some
again, I think
opportunities
that's
here.
the difference between, one side of the pond to the other.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's my take on it anyway, and that's my experience. It may be different
Thank you for
other
calling
people.
out my biases. I get it. But it is experience. It's like, yeah. Anyway, the shower situation. I have gotten used to it. I hope that in Tavira it will be a little bit better.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just thought of one other thing. You know, in the States where you got your sink and you've got your tap, and you have the pull-out.
Retractable, yes.
The retractable
I missed
thing.
that.
We don't have that in either of the apartments that we've had, and we haven't got that in the next one that we're going to. It's just not a thing. But even my short period of living in the States for 7
You
years,
got used to that.
I got really used to it. I thought it was really cool. It's like, whoa, I get around the corners, and it was really good. And here it's just like, okay, now I've got to fill a cup or a glass to get it around the corners and just like swill it out.
Yeah.
So there are things like that.
Functionality.
Yeah,
There's a lack of
there is
hardware
but again,
functionality.
That's
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
I think the other big thing for us that we have really gotten used to, and this has been less painful than I thought, is not only having less space, but just having less stuff.
Yeah.
Like buying less stuff. I don't know. I feel like I was a little bit golden handcuffed to Amazon at home.
Yeah.
And when we moved over here, we just stopped that. And number one, it's because we're trying to prioritize experiences over stuff
Yeah.
as a whole. It's like a blank slate when we moved over here.
That was intentional.
Yeah, it was intentional. But I also think that I definitely think twice about what I buy because I know that we're a little nomadic right now. And if we're going to move somewhere, I have to move all that stuff, right? And so I just am more conscious about buying and what space we have and anything like that. It's a very intentional purchase in most cases now, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. And I'm going to challenge anybody that's listening, watching, whatever. How many? Go and count how many coffee cups you have.
Oh God!
Okay.
Did we count that? Didn't we do that?
I don't know how many we got up to, but back in the States, it was
Embarrassing.
double figures, easily double figures.
Easily, yeah.
Like maybe 20, 18.
Probably more than that.
Here, we've got this one, which, do you not see
Says
the other
Mr.
side?
B.
It says Mr. B.
The one he's drinking out of for those listening.
And we've got a pack of 4 coffee cups that are here, that are part of the apartment. And then 1 other cup. And that's it.
Coffee cup.
Yeah, coffee cup.
Okay. And that's it.
And that's it. But
That's
I think,
still
I
too
think
many
it's quite
'cause there's 2
telling.
of us.
Yeah, but I think that's quite telling as well, because when you talk about stuff, coffee cups, knives and forks, those are the sorts of things that just accrue over a period of time.
Yeah.
We don't have any Stanley cups.
No, but think about how many travel mugs we had at home when we were moving.
Yeah.
It's just
How many?
I am very much leaning into this whole sustainability thing that I'm seeing in Portugal in particular, where it's more focused on, like, I think clothing, right? There are fast fashion stores around here, right? Similar to a Target or a Walmart or something like that, clothing wise, not like a big box store. But there's a lot more emphasis here on donating and secondhand stores. Like, you can walk up almost any street in Porto and pass by a secondhand store or a vintage shop. And that is part of Porto's culture.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to observe that from the lens of someone who literally came from literally ordering Amazon stuff almost every day. Like,
Yeah.
I hate to admit that, but I did. It's convenience, it's ease of getting it at your doorstep within like, I don't know, a day.
If
It's
that.
all of those things. And I don't know, I've just really been impressed with that whole sustainability thing, especially around fashion here. So it makes me more mindful because
More demure.
I've been TikTok. I've been like, I don't know, I guess inundated with that, or it's been part of the culture that I've been experiencing here and noticing of other people. And so it's, I'm interested. And I know that there have been a lot of people in the United States talking about this same thing, but I feel like here it's definitely part of the culture. And so anyway, I think that's because I see it more often, I'm
Because you're
more
walking
open to it and going, oh, well, everybody seems to be shopping at the secondhand shop. And I used to love doing that as a kid.
Yeah.
And just got away from it as I got older. And so, I don't know, I just find that really interesting, but it is, they're tied together, right? It's the space. We have less space.
So we have less
We have
stuff.
less storage, so we choose to have less stuff.
Yeah.
And it is freeing.
Yeah.
Like, it really is freeing because you can be as nomadic as you want to be.
Yeah. And to the point of, how much stuff we actually have, we're obviously moving very soon. And we had the conversation about how long do we think it's going to take us to pack up the stuff and put it in the van. And honestly, easily within a day. Easily within a day. Even if we didn't do any prep.
Yeah.
Which we're going to. But even if we didn't do any prep.
Yeah, it's mostly
So,
our clothes.
I think that's one of the things that I've definitely gotten used to.
Yeah.
For sure, it's been
Buying
quite
less.
liberating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I would say the last thing that we have had to get used to are some food items. So we had quite a transition. I think that when we moved here, it's exciting when you move here and you go and try different foods of a different culture. And then and most of the time that's how we travel. I mean, we travel to eat our way through places and get to know the culture that way.
Indeed.
And that's how it was at the beginning here. But then you have to kind of transition into like
Normal
real life.
Normal
Like,
life.
you're cooking at home and what does that look like?
Right.
And I think here we had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of trying to take like our comfort foods and things and recipes that we were used to, which were never really complicated or anything, but
Morph them into
thinking
what
that
you
we
can
could
get.
cook, right, go to the store, get pretty much those same items or an equivalent and make something that was familiar to us,
Yep.
right? And I think that took me a little while as the cook in the family to really
Thank
get
you.
my arms around that. And I say that because even though I'll give you an example. You can go and get ground meat, right? You can go and get ground beef, ground pork. We found ground turkey. Sometimes you can find ground chicken.
Sure.
We literally used to eat ground turkey constantly. We would rarely eat beef. Here, we got here, go grocery shopping. I'm like, I'm gonna make our spaghetti or something, right? Like our typical pasta meal or something. And it's just different. So a ground turkey here, it just doesn't taste like what you find in the United States because there's
got less-
rules
it's
against
got
what the
less
crap
crap in
is
it.
that is in stuff in the United States.
Right.
We can do a whole podcast about that. But because it doesn't taste the same, you just have this like,
That didn't
It
come
was
out as I
okay.
was expecting.
and so there was a time where that felt like a big deal because you couldn't find comfort in those
Things
things
you
that we were
ordinarily were
used to,
of
that I
comfort.
thought we would be able to,
Right.
more easily. Now I feel like we've kind of turned a corner in terms of a lot of things with the food choices that we make. I think we eat less meat
Definitely.
in
Definitely.
general, not because we don't like it, it's just kind of gotten, I don't know, I eat more seafood and I eat less meat. I eat more tofu here than I ever have.
Yeah.
I mean, we like tofu at home,
But we're
but
discovering new ways of preparing.
Yeah,
and
it's
cooking
just
it.
different.
Yeah.
But I find that it's not as big of a deal. And I think in the theme of what we're talking about, like, yes, there are some food items here that you think are going to be very similar to what you could access at home, and it's
Nope.
just not.
Right.
And then you just have to adapt and figure out, like, well, okay, well, what are the things that I do like
Yeah.
here? We had that with really famous foods here. Some of the sausages here, everybody rave about. And Mark was like, you know,
No.
and he's English, you guys. He loves some sausage. But there was still these moments where it's like, I'm supposed to like this.
Yeah, and I
And I
don't.
just don't, right?
Although
And-
recently I did find the 2 sausages that were really, really tasty. And that was in that Pica Pau. So
Yes.
anyway,
Yeah.
digress.
So again, I think certain foods we've adapted to, or food choices that we've adapted to. It's almost like our diets have changed, not because we don't like the food, but just because of what's here and what we've learned
What's
that we
available.
like.
And you know, to that point,
Mayor's
I think-
Test Kitchen.
Yeah, I think at that point of being down in Tavira, that's going to be so much more fish and seafood based,
Yeah, I think
because
so
it
too.
is right on the water.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't wait.
and
So I
so-
love me some seafood.
yeah. So I think that's going to be another change. And because we've got an outdoor space where we can probably put a barbecue, I think we're going to
Yeah, I
be
miss that.
able to barbecue.
That means
Different-
grill to you Americans, like a grill.
Well, yeah, barbecue.
We don't really. A barbecue is either a food item, like barbecue,
Oh, right, okay.
or maybe you're up in the north talking about a barbecue.
Right.
Shrimp on the bobby. That was terrible.
That was awful.
Anyway, I
Definitely
think that's our cue.
Apologies to anybody from Australia that's listening.
I think that's our cue to wrap it up.
Wrap it up, yeah.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week.
Thank
We're gonna
you.
come back. So we have 2 more weeks. This episode, and then 2 more weeks before we are leaving Porto. So you will see a Porto theme for the next couple of ones,
Couple
I
days.
think, because we want to pay tribute a little bit and talk
Yeah.
about what we've learned while we've been here.
It's
So
been fantastic.
yeah,
But, again,
new
chapter.
new chapter. Ready to turn the page.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Thanks
Talk
very
to you
much.
next week. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!